Welcome to our It's Electra series.
In this series, we're going to share with you gear based on and inspired by the Electra Distortion circuit.
Join us on this journey where we get the most tone out of the least circuit. On today's episode, we're going to be looking at a tremolo module from Stokka Engineering Services. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing to the channel, click on the notification bell. That way you know what we're up to. Your interaction with us helps us interact with great people in the industry, and in this case, SES, or Stokka Engineering Services, has sent us a number of modules, and this one is the tremolo.
Right, so we've done an envelope filter, we've done a delay, we did fuzz. I think this is the last one that we have. Pat's favorite series, I think, that we've done has been the Tremolo series, so I don't know if I'm speaking for you there. But
well, I brought that one to the table because that's an effect I like to use. I love tremolo.
So maybe saving
10 people in the country that like it, but I like it.
Right. Maybe saving the best for last. Although I was the envelope guy. Really cool. You made a comment a couple minutes ago that you think this module has the most trim pots of any module we've ever put in a guitar. So if you are following along, you know what we're talking about. Just in case you haven't been, this is an electric guitar. Electric guitars came with this neat little spot in the back where you could put MPC modules. They originally, back in the 70s, had a whole number of MPC modules that you could put in.
Like 11 originals or something like that.
Something like that. And we have a video for everyone on the website or on YouTube. Stokka is building some, like a fuzz. They had a fuzz, but what they didn't have was a tremolo. And the other one that we have in here right now is the delay. So that was another non-original module. So what's really cool about this is he's making some new modules for this guitar. And we just, from that It's Electra series, we wanted to document all these. And now that new ones are coming out, it's really kind of cool. So on the electric guitar, the back two knobs here control a variable on the module and the two big paddle switches.
They are big.
If you ever are out in a boat, there's your oar. You can, they turn them on. So in the first one, we have the tremolo module. This knob is then going to control the speed of that module. Eric also sent us his Stomp Cradle. So what we're going to do, play the module in the electric guitar, just so you can hear what it sounds like in here. Then we're going to pull it out, put it in the cradle, and twist some of those little trim pots so you can hear what they sound like when we turn them around and see what's happening. So
I think in every episode you've played a little passage, a little ditty, if you will. And so I think, just to kind of give people a background, I think we just set it up right now for where we think it sounds the most uniform with other tremolos that we've done this piece with.
Okay. So, and then play that.
Yeah. I'll put him on the spot. He's got to play something he hasn't played in months.
Right. I'll be fine until we get to the end, probably.
Right, that's fine.
The sound without the module on. So
Tyler JT22, a little reverb.
Module engaged. That bump.
Yeah, went all the way to the hummingbird wings.
Right. So the speed right here, which is kind of, the MPCs were really kind of an idea before their time, I think. Mm-hmm. Having that effect in your guitar, being able to control here, something really cool about it. We've said that before.
Yeah, and we love things that ramp, showing like the shirt you're wearing. We like when you can take the speed, slow it down, speed it up, and we don't need an expression pedal. You have a control on the guitar.
So, out of here into that?
I'd say so.
Okay, quick pause. Sounds real nice in both.
It does.
Let's the obvious knob on top is corresponds to the knob that would be on the guitar.
Right.
So let's start with that. We'll start to show you the speed from hummingbird to
Is
what's really slow. Snail. Yeah.
Snail? Yes. All right. So we started, basically, the other quick note, this was set exactly the same as we pulled it out of the back of the guitar. We didn't change anything.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the usable stuff is up here. Well, I shouldn't say usable. This spot, like, there's once you get it going to not quite to hummingbird, because that's, it's
Bit crusher.
yeah, there's something that it would be useful for.
Right.
But there's like a spot right there at the top where you get a whole lot of variation from kind of a slower speed to a fast speed. And then there's a lot of really slow speeds down. Now that could change a little bit as we look at some of the other trim pots, because some of the other trim pots will affect the speed knob a little bit on this. So I guess we look at depth first, which is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll read you what he sends along with this. The depth pot controls how deep the values of the affected sound go. The result can range between a subtle wavering to a dropping of the bottom out of the valleys to make more pulsating sound. Counterclockwise or clockwise gives deeper valleys.
Yeah, and that's right there.
That's that one. All right, so I'm actually
A little screwdriver. Yes.
going to take that, turn it all the way to the left, and then
Yep. Right.
I'll move it as you go. Sometimes when you're demo pedals, you're turning things like, why doesn't that sound the way I expect it to sound? Well, in this case, I had to speed up so high that there's, on that speed knob, there's hummingbird. If you go a little bit past that, it almost sounds like it's not on.
That, and what's messing with my mind is that's technically upside down.
The cradle's upside down.
Right, that's what I mean. So when you're turning a knob one way, my brain is thinking it's going to do something else.
Yeah,
On your screen, it's the correct orientation. For us, it's exactly backwards, looking at it from where we're sitting.
Yeah, but then look at the words on the module itself. So the cradle's upside down, but the
Module's right.
We're not sure. Bear with us. Watch with your ears. Space. The space part controls the width of the signal valleys. Note that the adjustment of the space will affect the rate also, requiring a readjustment of the MPC pot. Counterclockwise adjust gives you a wider, longer valley. So I think what we do in space is up here. I'm going to turn the space all the way one way and let you play and just kind of roll through the space and see if we can hear a difference.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. So think, here's your valley. When we started that, here's the peaks where you're hearing it. They were pretty far apart.
It went from like a ravine to a canyon.
And then I think as we turn the knob, right, they get closer together, so it smooths it out a little bit. But it that's what I'm looking for here. It also makes it sound like it's going faster because they're closer together.
I think there is a note that could affect the rate.
Right, and it said it could affect the rate. So it sounded like it was speeding up, but with it that way, never way that way is, that way, our way, it was a lot choppier too. Yeah. So it made the depth make even more sense. Cool. Smooth. The smooth part controls the smoothness of the rate of change in the sound. Gives a smoother sound. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come back and I'm going to turn the space the other way. So we should have a really choppy sound to begin with. And then I'll move the smooth pot around and see what happens.
All right.
That's cool.
Yeah. And they all sound good.
Right. And that was extremes on every, like I kept doing extremes. Like I'm going to go all the way to the left of the smooth, all the way to the right of the smooth. So, and I actually, if you're watching, I went back and changed the space too. So it was like, you can get really choppy and
you can get to where it's almost all effect when you break down.
And we've done like 40 or 50 tremolos at this point. I need to count them. I'm not trying to think of. I feel like maybe. Correct me. It's been so long since I looked at it. I feel like maybe Dave's DLS effects pedal had some of that where you just didn't pick a sine wave or a square wave.
There's a shape that kind of just goes through and it doesn't tell you where you are.
Where you can kind of adjust that it might be something.
And there's a warmth and a shape. Yes.
Something like that, but that's pretty unique. Yeah. That's a unique approach. Last one, trim. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Ooh. Trim pot is pretty much the opposite of a gain pot. Fully clockwise gives you full trim, minimum gain. Going counterclockwise in this pot quickly increases the gain into and beyond overdrive area. It's recommended you set this pot so the volume level of the MPC on is the same as the volume level of it off. So basically what you're trying to do here, and we have noticed this with some MPC modules, you click them on and you lose a lot of your volume, especially the ones from back in the 70s. Right. This definitely gives you...
Yeah. It's meant to, it's kind of, I think its original purpose, the way he wrote it up, is just to be able to get you unity. That if you turn the pedal off and on, you're just getting the effect without boosting it or subtracting.
I could see somebody using it as a boost.
Oh, well, I can too, based on what we heard before that thing turned on.
And one of the things I think a lot of people miss with tremolo is like when you can smooth it out, like we were a lot of the choppy effect here, but when you can smooth it out and have it not be so deep, and you can turn it on and just have that little bit of movement, almost like you don't hear it until you turn it off kind of movement.
Right.
It's really cool. I could see somebody doing that, and then well, let's hear the trim knob.
All right. Found it.
Radar.
Yeah.
Incoming. Yeah, man, that's cool.
Yeah, that's...
And I mean, I juiced it all the way.
Right.
There at the end, I mean, it was... You wouldn't... But it's really cool.
Yeah.
Final thoughts?
You know, it's another thing that it has a lot of controls that affect each other. Right? It's not as simple as like these two things. It's almost like some envelope filters we had. Like you turn this, it's really going to affect this. And some of these pots are like that. So the good thing about that is that there's a lot of creativity to be had, a lot of variety to be had. Maybe spending a little bit more time and feeling like he did do a pretty good job of laying out this one will affect that. Mm-hmm. But as we turned it, there was some creative stuff like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, so it's a one-trick pony in the sense that if you had it set up, you only turn it on, turn it off. But if you were recording or trying to write parts, you can just take that little screwdriver and go crazy and get yourself a choppiness one that's almost like the bed for your song, or other ones that are just like kind of just smooth. It's just a lot of variety in there because most tremolos have 3 knobs. This one has 5, technically 6, because one that you can manipulate, but 5. Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It was warm too, like because that's always my thing when you get into modulation and things like that. Does it suck the tone? Does it get really thin? This didn't. I thought it had a nice throb to it, a nice warmth to it, because it is optical, right? I don't know if we mentioned that. It's optical design, right?
Yeah, it is an optical tremolo. Yeah, I can't figure out how there's 4 knobs and then the MPC knob, and it's all in that little thing with optical. So there's a light bulb in there flashing, and like how he gets it
Must
on
be
there.
like a flea circus in there.
Yeah, it could be an interesting pedal too. Yeah, I mean, my final thought is the same. I think it's so cool that people are still building stuff that goes in these guitars. Yeah, I just not that guitar,
right?
And this guitar, I think it's so cool that people are still making stuff that goes into them. It's a really it's a fun rabbit hole. But the problem with it now, if you found a used MPC guitar from Electra, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to go out and reverb and buy some of the old modules. The old modules cost a fortune.
Right.
And so with guys like Eric doing this and Jeffrey over at RFO Electronics, you don't need...
Right.
And some of their modules, got the tremolo, you got an envelope filter, Jeffrey has a octave fuzz, has a vibe, like there's some cool stuff for it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's a cool sounding drum too. I like it.
Yeah, no, I do like it. I'm a sucker for tremolo.
So I guess with that, we'll take a minute just to thank you for watching and clicking the notification bell, hitting subscribe, clicking I had a moment where I had to stop and think about what we're doing. Anytime you interact with the show, it really helps out. We appreciate that. Thanks to Jeffrey, or not Jeffrey, thanks to Eric from Stokka for sending this over. And with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.